We Westerners don't talk all the time about being individualists, or about the importance of efficiency, or why we prefer youth over old age. Those values just go without being said. Yet, to the discerning eye, they are in the undercurrents of billboards and commercials, and even influence our everyday decisions. In Paul's world, there were also things that went without being said. Caesar promised peace and security. When Jesus said he didn't bring peace like the world did, John chapter 14, verse 27, he didn't need to connect the dots. It went without being said what he meant. Caesar promised peace, but so did Jesus. They were kings, offering competing kingdoms. It can be helpful to take what goes without being said and place it up on the table for examination. This book examines some unspoken foundational social structures and tools used in the biblical world. Since they operated in the background, they aren't clearly printed in Scripture. They were obvious to the original audiences. Everyone knows that, yet we don't. These dynamics are not obvious to modern Western readers. That's why some of the biblical stories seem confusing, as if some essential piece were missing. Often, pieces are missing because some cultural aspects go without being said. We think collectivism is a major piece, a key cultural given, and that understanding it better will help us understand the Bible better. Moreover, we hope that understanding the Bible better will help us live more faithfully as Christians in the world. A preface should introduce the authors. You have noticed by now that we use the word we. Two good friends, Randy and Rich, joined together to write this book. Randy has studied the topic from a technical, anthropological, and biblical perspective, and Rich has studied it from an experiential, practical ministry perspective. Randy has written or co-written other books on related topics, including Misreading Scripture with Western Eyes, and Rich has lived about a decade in the Middle East. He is fluent in Arabic and has a keen interest in how collectivism works in modern Middle Eastern societies and how that intersects with the biblical narrative. Don't look, though, for which chapters or sections Randy wrote versus the ones Rich wrote. We did not collect independently written essays. One of us began a chapter by jotting down some ideas, then the other tossed half of them out, rearranged the rest, and otherwise began to mold the clay that became each chapter. We wrote on top of each other. We discussed every section and each paragraph, and sometimes argued over words in video conferences and debated in personal visits. We rewrote together endless times. Thus, the book is, in the end, an inseparable weld of both of us. We would not be able to separate out who was responsible for the wording on any given sentence. Our modern stories are often based on real people and real events. We often changed names. Sometimes we simplified events or conflated stories to protect the person or to make the illustrations simpler. But we believe we maintained the integrity of the cultural story. An illustration from the Middle East usually began with Rich, while stories from the Far East began with Randy. But we decided not to try to clarify which author first told that story. This book isn't about us, but about helping you to read the Bible better. Authors often end their prefaces by thanking their spouse. In this instance, we need to offer extra appreciation to Stacia Richards. Randy was leading a Bible conference in Istanbul when he met Rich. Stacia, who was also there, kept insisting, "You should get Rich to write that honor-shame book with you." I pointed out that someone living in Florida who happened to bump into someone living in Beirut during a conference in Istanbul would likely never meet again. After bumping into each other in a chance encounter, divine appointment in another location far from both our homes, Stacia said, "See?" I am often amazed at how